What's going on, guys? I'm TieFly85.
And I'm T-Rec87.
And today we're going to be talking about This Week in Movies.
Let's get started.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of MG Nights. Now, to This Week in Movies, we're going to be talking about what's coming out today, as well as some movie news that I think is really super exciting that I can't wait to share with you guys. But first off, let's go ahead and get started with some of the movies that we mentioned last week that were coming out on Friday. Now, the first one up on the list that I wanted to talk about was Insidious: The Last Key, which I know was T-Rec87's favorite movie. And so let's go ahead and start there first. Insidious: The Last Key actually ended up, for the weekend gross box office, it did make $29.6 million. So actually not too bad overall. It definitely was not a huge super win. And the next one up on the list on that one was Molly's Game. For all of you remember, it was that Gambler's Ring. And that one ended up doing the weekend box office of $6.9 million. So not super huge there. And then the last one on my list was Day of the Dead Bloodline. And that movie actually didn't gross any money domestically and only made $59,000 internationally. So definitely was a movie that I predicted would not make a lot of money, and would say I was pretty spot on there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's honestly, I wonder for all those three movies, I never went and looked it up, but I'm curious as to, what the budgets on these movies are, and, if they're going to make any of their money back, honestly. All three of these movies seem to open pretty low financially, or just the box office numbers, and so I wonder what the budgets are on these movies. I can't remember, but I wonder if they're even gonna break even, honestly. I mean, January seems like such a weird month to me to release a horror movie. I don't know, it's just, to me, that's really strange. Maybe it's just me though. I don't know.
I think more and more often horror movies are being released towards the beginning of the year, February, January, February. It seems to be they're just kind of sporadic now, whereas we used to be used to them only during August, September, October, maybe,
right,
getting into that Halloween time. But now it just seems to be they're just throwing it out wherever they can get it, kind of, and people don't care. So
yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, maybe they just discovered that it doesn't affect their box office numbers really, or maybe the market in those months is getting too saturated with they know that the big movies are going to come out then, if It and that Day of the Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, whatever it was, came out at the same time. Nobody's going to go see the other movie. Everybody wanted to go see It, and so maybe that's what they're trying to do, is kind of space it out and recoup their money that way, so their movies don't get glossed over.
Yeah, and also, too, thank you for bringing that up. Speaking of It, we did talk about It last week, and we weren't really too sure of the numbers, but we did actually pull the numbers, and it did make $327.48 million. So it was the number one grossing horror movie of all time. So that, like we said last time, I'm curious to see what movie will outdo that one as far as only a horror movie. It will be interesting to see if It, the second part, will actually outdo the first part. So we'll have to wait. Do you think it will?
I think it will, because the first one was so good, and it was so unexpectedly... I think everybody knew it was going to be good, but it was such an unexpected, huge hit that I think the expectations are going to be so high for the sequel, and it's one of those movies that everyone's going to go see day one, and hopefully it's good and the sales numbers continue. But I think that's the only movie that I know of that has a chance of outshining it right now.
Yeah, I definitely will admit that I definitely will be seeing the second part of it on day one. The one sad thing that about It is I didn't get to see it within the first couple weeks that it came out. Obviously it was a couple weeks later, but I kind of wish that I would have seen it with everybody else, because if you don't see the movie right away, it almost somehow could get ruined for you in today's kind of market of saturation. So you got to keep your eyes off the internet or just anywhere to not have something ruined for you.
That's exactly what happened with me with Last Jedi. Is I was literally on IGN in a comment section of a video game, and I'm reading through, and then somebody just posts all the spoilers of the movie, and I just was reading, and I'm oh well, can't unread that. It didn't ruin the movie for me necessarily, but I was really upset about it.
Yeah, it gives you one of those moments where you can't take it back.
Yeah, so
But, all right, well, moving on from that, what I want to go ahead and talk about were the new movies that are coming out today. Now, the newest releases today, the first one that I wanted to talk about that I'm really kind of excited for is The Post with Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Now, this particular movie looks really awesome. The budget for the movie ended up being $50 million, so it's a huge budget for this particular type of movie because it's not really like a huge, massive, like, you know, Oscar-type movie, but I think that it actually might being because of Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. But it's about the Washington Post and how the government tried to stop the Washington Post when they ended up getting some, like, controversial documents of the government. So it looks like a really interesting overall story of, like, basically the underdog going up against the government and how it all turned out.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to see, like, that particular aspect of how modern journalism, like, got to where it is today, I would highly recommend you all watch this movie.
Yeah, it's funny because that wasn't one of the movies you sent me in your list of movies that we were gonna, like, in the second list, and so I didn't watch the trailer. But actually, I have seen the trailer since now that you bring it up, but it looks super interesting. I think it looks very interesting. I do want to see it.
Yeah, and a quick little side note for that movie, because it did actually end up doing a limited release on January 9th. It's already made $4.1 million. So it's releasing today, so we'll see how it does over the weekend. And like I said, tune in next week and we'll let you know how the movie actually ended up doing. Now, moving on from The Post, we do have a really good family-friendly movie. I actually just ended up watching the first one of this, and that's Paddington 2. And it's based on Paddington Bear. For all of you who have children, you probably were pretty familiar with that. But Paddington Bear, the original, or just Paddington, sorry. It was a really good watch. It's a really good, like, family-friendly type of movie. So I'd highly recommend, if you have kids, definitely go check it out. It's a good one.
Yeah, actually, when I watched the trailer, I haven't seen the first Paddington for whatever reason. I don't know if it came out a while back. Like, obviously my kids wouldn't have been born, and I wouldn't have really probably cared about it too much. But the second one, it looks pretty interesting. I mean, like, it looks like something that I would probably pick up for my kids once it comes out on, like, DVD or something like that. Unfortunately, they're not quite old enough to where I think, like, taking them to the movie theater. I don't think they have the attention span for that. But it did look like a good kids movie. So I do recommend everybody check out the trailer.
Yeah, definitely very family friendly for sure. Now, next one up on my list is one that I actually am pretty surprised it took them so long to make it, and I'm actually really excited to see this just because I was actually around when this happened, and it is I, Tonya, which is the true story of Tonya Harding. And I don't know if any of you guys remember this, or if you even remember the story at all, like, let us know down below. But, I totally remember this, like, being a huge, massive thing. So I'm really excited to see this movie and see, like, what actually took place. I know it's based on a true story, but, you know, sometimes Hollywood can kind of fluff things up just a little bit. So I'm kind of curious to see if they're sticking 100% to what happened and not changing anything just for a movie. So it'll be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, they always got to, like, embellish a little bit, though, to make it it's got to be good cinema to tell a story like that. And it does look pretty interesting, I thought. I thought it looked a little bit, looked like there were some pretty comical moments in it. You know, like, they're trying to make it a little bit funny, a little bit lighthearted, but at the same time still have some serious moments in it. And having Margot Robbie as the main lead there. I think she's a wonderful actress, and I think it looks like a pretty good movie.
Yeah, she definitely was amazing in Suicide Squad. I loved her. All right, and moving on from I, Tonya, we do have a Liam Neeson, and his particular set of skills are at it again in The Commuter. And this particular movie looks actually pretty good. I will say, though, overall, it looks like a very typical, like, Liam Neeson movie. Kind of like, you know, Taken and his normal...
His normal thing, yeah, and I think it might even have gotten to a point with Liam Neeson where it's like, he's kind of like, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. People like watching him, you know, kick bad guy butt, you know, and so I think he's probably figured that out, and so his like, you know, his agent, and so, like, that's what he tends to get cast in. His movies that are pretty solid, you know, he's going to collect a good paycheck, the movie's going to do well. I thought it did look really interesting, though. I mean, he wasn't, like... I do like the fact that he's not cast as like a super trained, you know, like CIA agent or anything like that. He's just like this dude that got on the train, and then the lady talks to him about, like, there's $75,000 in the bathroom, and I need you to find this one passenger. And it looks like all these crazy things happen while they're on the train. It looks like pretty much the whole movie is going to take place on that train. I totally recommend you go watch the trailer. I mean, if you love Liam Neeson, you're probably going to like this movie. I know I will like the movie. But it looks like it's like a solid action flick, I think. So I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be great. Like it's going to be up there with the Liam Neeson par, as it goes. So we'll see. Also, too, another actually tidbit on this movie is Sam Neill is actually in it, playing a detective. So if anybody remembers Sam Neill, Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park, so it's kind of cool to see him, in another movie. It's been quite a while since we've actually seen, Sam Neill make an appearance.
I literally haven't seen him in a movie since the 90s, I don't think. It's been since Jurassic Park, and wasn't he in Twister, or was that a different guy?
That's somebody else.
Yeah, no, they look the same though. They look very similar. I know those two actors look the same.
Bill Paxton?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, sure. They look really similar to me. I was getting mixed up, but yeah, I just haven't really seen him in anything since Jurassic Park. So I do like him though. I always loved Dr. Grant's character, so I'm excited to see him in something else.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, guys, well, that's it for the movies today. We wanted to go ahead and move on into the movie news, and I found some really awesome information and news that I wanted to share with you guys just because I'm super excited about it. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about it. And the first thing up is Black Widow. Black Widow from the MCU, like Marvel, Scarlett Johansson is actually finally getting a standalone Black Widow movie, and Jake Schaefer has been signed on to pin the movie. So it's really awesome that finally, after all this time, because I know people have been asking for a standalone, Romanoff movie for quite a while. So to finally get it, I mean, literally all I can say is it's about time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I am super excited for this movie, and I hope it's done well. The thing that I love Scarlett Johansson as an actress, and I mean she does Black Widow obviously in the Avengers is more of a supporting role. It's a supporting character, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in shifting her into a main character. But my worry is that everybody thinks it's a great idea, and then when the movie comes out, not as many people are going to really go see it. Like with what was that movie she did recently, Ghost in the Shell? I thought Ghost in the Shell looked amazing, and I actually really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really good. I mean, I've seen a little bit of the anime, but I thought it was such a great movie, and it didn't really do that great, the box office and everything else. And I don't know why that is necessarily, because I think she's a great actress, and everybody loves the Black Widow character. So hopefully this movie does really well when it gets made.
Yeah, one of the movies I would say, if you want to see what I feel what type of character I feel like she should be, I loved Black Widow, and I loved, so if anybody remembers her the first time we saw her in the Avengers, when she's tied up to the chair, and then all of a sudden she gets the phone call, and she's like, I'm busy right now, and he's like, okay, yeah, and then all of a sudden she just kicks everyone's butt and breaks free, and it's no big deal to her. So that's the kind of stuff that I really hope that they show in this, is her sneakiness and kicking butt and that kind of stuff. But if anybody wants to see an amazing movie by Scarlett Johansson, I'd highly recommend Lucy. And it's basically about this girl who ends up basically in the wrong place at the wrong time because of this guy that she's with, and they end up putting drugs into her stomach, and then just crazy stuff happens. So I'd highly recommend that you go check out Lucy with Scarlett Johansson. That kind of would give you somewhat of an idea of what I feel that the character she should be playing for the new Black Widow movie. I think it'd be really awesome. All right, well, moving on from the Black Widow, another actual MCU thing going on here is the Black Panther movie is going to have the first day biggest ticket pre-sales in the MCU history. Now, that is actually quite a mouthful overall for that, but as far as it goes right now, there's no official box office tracking has been released as of yet. But the estimated is around $85 million so far. So $85 million before the movie has even come out in just pre-sales for tickets. Yeah. That's insane. But it's not the first movie to have that high of a number. Captain America Civil War actually did way more than $85 million in ticket pre-sales. So it's pretty interesting to see if this particular movie will outtake Captain America Civil War, which I kind of highly doubt it, but this movie is the number one most anticipated movie of the entire year, which is kind of surprising to me because I would think it would be Avengers Infinity War, but it's actually this movie. So Also, another really awesome tad note to note for February is the only other movie in February that holds the current record for highest grossing film is Deadpool at $132.4 million in February. So it'll be interesting to see if Black Panther definitely beats out Deadpool as the number one grossing R-rated movie ever. So we'll see on that particular one. What do you think, T-Rex?
So I am pretty interested to see this movie. I think everybody's super interested because it looks like a slightly different. I mean, it almost looks like different, just like a different formula than what we're used to with the Avengers. It's set in a different land. It's not set in like a big city or just like a regular city, I guess. And so just a departure from the norm, I think, is what everybody's really excited about. Also, there is a new Black Panther trailer for any of you that don't know. A new trailer just dropped. I don't know when. It was pretty recently, but it does look pretty cool. It shows a little bit more of the movie. You should definitely look at it and check it out. I'm super excited for Black Panther. I'm excited to have something different than our normal. Don't get me wrong. I love Captain America. Love Iron Man. I love Thor. But I just want something a little bit different. So I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally stoked. I really like Chadwick Boseman. I think that they chose the perfect actor to play Black Panther. He's great. And his introduction in Civil War, I think, was the perfect time to introduce his character.
Oh, yeah.
I think, he did such a good job, for sure. All right, guys, well, moving on from that, for Black Panther, the newest thing that I'm super excited for, and kind of ironically, they just released, I don't know if any of you have been, keeping an eye on Netflix lately, but they just released a new show called The Toys That Made Us, and it's just a lot of old toys like Star Wars and, Beastmaster and just all of these crazy things. Well, a new report claims that Master of the Universe movie will be in production starting this April. So here, just in a couple months, the movie's going to start shooting and is set to release on December 18th of 2019. But I'm pretty positive that date's going to end up changing due to the fact that Star Wars Episode 9 also comes out in December of 2019.
Right.
And with the high value of what the Masters of the Universe is with He-Man and that kind of stuff, I really do feel that that's going to be a massive budget movie, and I think it's going to be super huge. That I really hope that they place it perfectly well, that it's not overshadowed by Star Wars.
Yeah, so, absolutely. I am super excited for Masters of the Universe. I think that'll be really cool. Also, just as a confirmation, I guess Bright 2 was confirmed for a sequel, the day after it was released. From what I've learned. I just wanted to throw that in there. It's kind of a totally random side note, but I know we talked about it. But the Masters of the Universe, I am really excited. I hope we get a trailer sometime relatively soon, because I really want to see. I'm excited for this movie. I loved, like all the old like He-Man, Skeletor, yeah, all that stuff. I really enjoyed that as a kid. I thought it was pretty neat. So I just want to see what they do with it, and I hope it's just like a realistic, like, kind of like almost like the gritty type of tone type of movie. That I'm really excited for it, and I hope they don't mess it up.
I'll be completely fine if they add the comedical line of "I've got the power."
Oh, they have to.
Yeah, no, they totally will. But I wonder if they'll keep it like in that comedic tone, or if it will try to be like super serious about it. So it'll be really interesting to see how they pull that off. Just because I don't know, I always liked that for sure in the cartoons and stuff.
Right, and that's a line that works really well in a cartoon. But if you see somebody do that in real life, you're like, oh my god, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and if anybody. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just was saying, like, and so hopefully they'll have some sort of, I think if they do that, like, it'd have to have some sort of comedic effect to it, like something will happen, or, just something comedic to it, because you got to realize that, in a live-action movie, that looks, like, really silly, and you have to play off that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, if anybody wants to go check out The Toys That Made Us, there is a special in there where it's just specifically about He-Man, and it's actually super interesting on how they actually came up with the line any of the lines, like how they came up with Skeletor, how they came up with He-Man, and so it's just really interesting. If anybody wants to know the backstory of how these guys like actually thought of this character, it's really good. I highly recommend you go check it out because I had no idea. All right, and moving on from that, one last story that we do have is about Justice League. Now I know Justice League came out last year, and there's been quite a bit of controversy around that film overall, but one of the things that actually just got released is Ben Affleck's stunt double claims that a Zack Snyder cut does exist of the film, and is basically claiming that everybody just needs to continue to keep pushing Warner Brothers because they will release that film if everybody just keeps pushing them. But I mean, there we go, guys. Like, it's confirmed. Like, this guy is legit. He is actually Ben Affleck's, like, he did Batman versus Superman. He's a stunt double. So, like, this guy, I don't think that he would be lying about this. Like,
yeah,
I don't
think he'd be talking from a place where he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think that they would. I don't know. I think that they would probably like wait to release it at a time where they're like building up for another movie, like whether it's like the next Wonder Woman movie or something. Where they all of a sudden like a month before it comes out, you release like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, to kind of build that momentum and build excitement. And so if it does exist, I'm sure it'll be used as a completely as a marketing tool for another movie, whether it's Justice League 2 or who knows. But I am excited. I hope someday it does come to light, and I hope they do release it, because I'd like to see his original take on the movie.
Yeah, I mean, even if they did like some kind of like special theater release of just the Zack Snyder cut film and they never released it to DVD, you know what I mean? I think people would lose their minds. They'd just be like, well, at least we got to see it.
Right.
Like, come on, Warner Brothers, like, just release it to movie theaters. I guarantee you guys will make money off of it.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it made more money than Justice League. like the original cut.
I think with all the everything surrounding it, I wouldn't be surprised either. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, guys, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. We really definitely do appreciate your time. If any of you guys definitely are going to be seeing any of these movies, like we did mention, The Post, Paddington 2, I, Tonya, The Commuter, definitely let us know down below if you're going to see any of those movies, or let's just, maybe you have already seen them. Definitely let us know. We'd love to have a conversation with you guys.
Yeah, and if you guys saw any of the movies from the previous week, we'd love to hear about that too, as far as like it was like Insidious and the other two. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts about that as well, just where everybody's takeaway from it is. But there's a lot of good movies coming out in the pipeline that there's going to be so many good movies this year we're excited about.
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually am really curious to see, did anybody that watching this see Day of the Dead Bloodline? If you did, let me know down below, because it seems like it seemed like it did not release in the U.S. So I'm curious to see if anybody did actually happen to find this film or not. But all right, guys, well, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. And again, we'll see you guys next time. Definitely tune in next week where we talk about movies coming out next week.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you again tomorrow.
And always remember, stay awesome.
And I ain't never gonna stop.